got some books this month through various methods. Some of them I paid for, some of them I got for free. I'll explain that a bit more as I go along. And I thought I'd share them with you so that maybe you can get some book recommendations or figure out something that sounds interesting to you. First up, we have Glass by Ellen Hopkins. I got this at a BMV downtown, which is a used bookstore, and they always have books for really good prices. This is the sequel to Crank, and it's about a girl named Christina who deals with a meth addiction. Crank is more about the initial problem and dealing with the effects that the meth has on her, and the way it affects her decision making. And Glass is about her struggling to stay clean, and also dealing with the bad things that happened while she was high on meth in Crank. I really like the way it's written. It has very little writing on the pages, which actually gives you more of a sense of accomplishment, because you breeze through the chapters. I got through Crank really quickly. Next up, we have The Illustrated Man by Ray Bradbury. I've actually been looking for this one for a long time, so I was really happy when I saw it at also the BMV. BMVs are great. This is a collection of 19 short stories, and they're written as fantasy. It also says it's a special book club edition, and I don't know what that means, but okay. Next up, we have The 100 by Cass Morgan. This is one I actually got through a Goodreads giveaway, and what that means is that if you go on Goodreads, they actually have giveaways where you can sometimes be the first to read a book. This one is an advanced reading copy, which is pretty cool. If you're interested in Goodreads giveaways, I will leave a link down below for you. The 100 takes place in the future after a devastating nuclear war on Earth. And now humans live really far above the Earth's toxic atmosphere. Except now they're having a problem because they're facing dwindling resources. So they decide to send 100 juvenile delinquents down to Earth to recolonize the planet. That's pretty questionable, authority of future Earth. So we follow the teenagers as they gather information about the planet. It's also being made into a TV show due out on the CW sometime this fall. Next up, we have Serenity, Those Left Behind. This is by Joss Whedon, Brett Matthews, and Will Conrad, and it takes place after Firefly and before the Serenity movie. Since I mentioned Firefly and Serenity quite a lot, you probably already know that I'm a big fan. Plus, look at my shirt. So, I'm very excited to read this. Here we have The Melancholy Death of Oyster Boy and Other Stories by Tim Burton. I'm a fan of a lot of Tim Burton's work, so I'm really excited to read this. I love the melding of the grotesque and the dark humor, and yet the really sweet morals. I got this on abebooks.com. It's a really good website for getting cheap, used books, and it's in great condition too. There's not much damage to speak of for this. I paid $1 for this, and about $3 or $4 for shipping, so I count that as a very good deal. Again, link in the description. The title character, Oyster Boy, has an oyster for a head, and basically the story deals with the pain of being an adolescent and being an outsider. This is another Goodreads win of mine, my first in fact, and it's called Life, Love, and a Polar Bear Tattoo, written by Heather Wardell. It's about a woman named Candace whose in-laws are killed while they're buying a faux polar bear rug for her and her husband. The story deals with the couple's guilt and the pain that they feel, and it's very much about their relationships and figuring out whether they want to salvage their marriage. Next up, we have Les Miserables by Victor Hugo. I've been wanting to read this one for a long time as well. This is another one that I found at BMV. This story follows a bunch of different characters, including Jean Valjean, Inspector Javert, Fantine, and it examines the French political and judicial systems. As I'm sure you probably already know, it's been made into a musical which has been hugely famous and successful, and during the summer they released a movie of it. Here we have The Cats Pajamas, which is another short story anthology by Ray Bradbury. This one contains 22 stories. The description says that these stories were written over the course of his 6-decade career. That is a long time. And the characters range from senators to newlyweds. So there's a wide range of people there. This is another BMV find that I'm really looking forward to because Ray Bradbury. And finally we have Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom Riggs. Man, I just want to say that name over and over again. It's really cool. This is actually one I ordered from the library, but I figured I'd include it because it's something I find interesting, and I think the library counts, even though I don't own the book. This story follows Jacob, a 16-year-old boy who, after a family tragedy, travels to an island off the coast of Wales and finds Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. It mixes the story with really strange photography, like this girl is floating off the ground, and that just really intrigues me, so I look forward to reading this. This has been my September book haul. Let me know if you've read any of these books and what you thought, and also feel free to leave me recommendations down below. I would be happy to have more recommendations to add to my list. See you later. The title character, Oyster Boy, is a little boy who has an oyster for an head. For an head?